So, good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Indian ESG Network Talking series. The objective of this platform is that we get experts and professionals from different backgrounds to share their experiences, knowledge, expertise, and challenges on ESG, which can help others on the journey towards sustainability. Today, we have with us Mr. Amit Sawarkar. He is a mechanical engineer with 14 years of experience in automobile design. He is a Master of Social Work, an IICA certified CSR professional and ESG impact leader. He is a sustainable development goals enthusiast and is leading the CSR for Collins Aerospace in India for the last 6 years. He has been instrumental in leading several CSR projects in education, skill development, rural development, and environment conservation in Karnataka and Telangana. He is also working on ESG reporting of Collins Aerospace parent company Raytheon Technologies, headquarters in Washington, D.C. We welcome Amit on the discussion today, and we would like to understand a bit about the emerging role of CSR heads in light of the ESG. Since you have been working in the ESG space as well as CSR, we can begin the discussion by maybe clarifying, because ESG was being used a lot like CSR. The names were quite similar. Initially, when the journey started, we all thought that ESG is going to be like CSR. So what has it been that as it has evolved, how do you feel the differences emerging and where do you see the differences?
Okay, first of all, thank you for inviting me for this talking series. And I would like to say good job, Indian ESG Network. I could see how the network has evolved since last 6 to 8 months at time. And this forum is giving an opportunity to people like me, people like many professionals, policymakers, and government authorities, understanding of what ESG is, how it should be implemented, what are the best practices, because there is so much of buzz around this world as ESG. So happy to share my thoughts on this front. When it comes to CSR and ESG, though both has I would say identical or same goal of responsible business practices. Both has the same. But having said that, there are other differences as well. CSR is not equivalent to ESG, though we use it quite interchangeably, I would say. When it comes to the scope of ESG and CSR is very different. When it comes to the standardization of ESG is very different, unique. When it comes to the disclosures, when it comes to the compliance expectations, intricacies are very different. Right. Because CSR in a bigger sense, worldwide, looked in the angle of voluntary interventions, whereas ESG is very focused, very methodical in sense, very qualitative in approach. There's so many standards, and we'll probably talk about that later. So it is very, very practical approach to ESG. Right. So that's what I would say. So both the words are very different, though their goal is quite aligned to each other, but there is a very different when it comes to the expectations of both.
Right. So as you said, that ESG is very comprehensive and it really cuts across the whole organization. But the S aspect of ESG connects with the CSR bit. So the social aspect of ESG has an internal role as well as an external community role.
Yeah.
And that is where the CSR would get linked in. So how do you see that fitting in while implementing ESG? How do you see the changes within the S aspect of ESG, and what are the changes that you are seeing emerging in that space?
When it comes to the social aspect, yes, there has been one survey, 2019, there was a survey done by PNB Paribas. They have done a quite comprehensive survey of about 347 corporates participated in the survey, And if you look at the crux of the survey, it talks about how yes is difficult to quantify and align it to the business or investment strategies.
Right.
So that's the yes aspect of it. And also a challenge with the S word, social word. On the other hand, we have environment. One hand, we have a governance, which is we have a protocols, procedures to quantify both for a very long time. But when it comes to the quantify the social intervention and benefits, I would say it still struggles. Okay. And I still remember, one of the professor was talking about, a social which is kind of sandwiched between environment and governance. It's like a mid-child syndrome or mid-child, predicament, we can call it as. So that's the challenge with the yes. But the yes is also very important because it's a human element. In the whole of the gamut of these efforts, and also it's a human capital in a way. When we keep social as one, it connects with the everything, like it's employee of the organization or suppliers or vendors. I would say, for that matter, all the stakeholders involved, human element involved, it encompasses everybody. And what we need for every human being. Okay, we need respect, we need dignity, we need equality. So these are the three very, very important points which covers the whole gamut of it. So that's how it is. When it comes to CSR, I would say in social of ESG, it's just a one element into it. It's not the whole. Okay. But if you look at CSR also, I would say it evolved from the philanthropic activities or checkbook philanthropy, I would say post World War II, evolved it, over the period of time that has become today's business strategy. Now the board is involved into it. There's a policy driven by, for CSR projects. Ministry of Corporate Affairs has given a very high level, guidance on what should be the projects where the corporate should be putting their funds into. But when it comes to, I would say, ESG, a whole sustainability word itself evolved in 1972. That the book called The Limit to Growth, it talks about how the ecological and environmental aspects are impacted through this, and then followed by our common future report, Rio Summit in 1992, Rio Plus 10, I would say, and even the Millennium Development Goals. So it has evolved over the period of time. I would say that's how even social aspect as well. If we say CSR, I would say CSR goes with the culture and the ethos of the organization. I think if a CSR is strong, ESG as well will be very effectively will be implemented in our organization.
And if we look at India, I think already many initiatives have been done. CSR is not something new. It is quite evolved space already in India. As well as governance, I would say. It's only that the environment is catching up. And I think a lot of guidelines have come from regulators and it's really progressing at a fast pace.
Yeah, just to add, in fact, the financial disclosures we have been doing for a very long time. And the social aspect is not being, taken care that much. Okay. So we say financial disclosures, and other we say non-financial disclosures. Okay. But I would say we should change the wording of a non-financial disclosure to the essential disclosures. Because even this, disclosures are equally important in today's world.
I think that is what even BRSR has done. It has really made a comprehensive list of disclosures, both financial, which are essential, as well as the leadership indicators which they are asking for.
Absolutely. And even if you say BRSR report today, it also evolved since last 10 years. When you say NVGs, right? national voluntary guidelines. Then it comes BRR, business responsibility reporting, and then comes CSR, and then it comes NVRGC, NURG, and then comes BRSR core, and even now there is also addition. I think compliance and policies are keep changing every year. We could see so much of evolution happening in this space.
No, I think with that it only gives more clarity to everyone.
Absolutely.
And it's great progress that we are making in India with respect to disclosures. So where do you see the role of CSR heads? How is it changing? Because you are on the ground, you know how it's impacting everyday life. And so where do you see the role of CSR heads evolving due to ESG coming in? And what are the new expectations from CSR heads?
Absolutely. I would say that, role of a CSR, organization wise in two buckets, I would say. The bigger organization would expect that there are two distinct departments, ESG department, because the strategies of ESG are very different, which are very well aligned with the materiality aspect. And that's how the ESG strategy being designed for the organization. But whereas the CSR is very much environmental, social, and even the Ministry of Corporate Affairs and Schedule 7 expectations. Okay, so this is a very different department in a bigger organization. Of course, they have to align in some way and share what exactly is their work, and that's how the reporting happens. Okay, so in that case, I would say the role of a CSR heads, will not change much. But all the mid-scale and small-scale industries, where the CSR department or CSR person, which is the only person probably in majority of cases, is handling CSR, and then additional responsibility of ESG is also being given to that person, and that becomes a challenging stuff. Okay, and then of course the person who is handling this the role, I would say he has to get a skill in addition to his CSR of ESG to understand how the strategy of organization being designed, what is the materiality, what is double materiality, and what is the how to calculate the carbon or environmental anything whenever we are doing watershed initiatives, or even it is a waste related or energy related. So one has to understand the the policies around it, the rules and regulations around it, how to measure all that. So that is the big difference, I would say. When it comes to the measuring the impact, that also is very important, how the social benefits being captured in CSR phase, but similarly year on year, how the ESG parameters being calculated and measured. So that is also is very important. And the third very important thing is reporting, because ESG reporting is a very different ball game, annual reporting, and even the CSR reporting, which we'll have to do on the Ministry of Corporate Affairs websites, that's also a very different ball game. So the person who has to do the dual roles, I would say he has to gain the whole skill, understand the ESG in far more greater details.
I think rightly said, because the portfolio becomes very large. Because they have to understand all three aspects, and the skills required are very different. And
even to add to this, Punita, what is happening is, even if my organization, I may not be registered on SEBI, may not be mandatory for me to provide or work on the reports. But if my customer has to make reports, being a supplier, being a vendor, one of the stakeholder in a ecosystem, it may be scope 1, it may be scope 2, or even scope 3. The standards also going to get applied to me, and also need to satisfy my customers, expectation. So that way also I need to be ESG compliant in a way.
Right. That's the challenging part, I feel, because scope 3, I would say, somewhere are still gearing up to understand the requirements, to build the skill sets, to get the right teams on board. So yes, scope 3 will be a journey which they will go through while the listed companies are still progressing and reporting.
Absolutely.
So as you see that a CSR heads is evolving as a space, do you feel the expectations from social enterprises or the NGOs from whom you drive the projects is also undergoing a change? Because if the expectations are going up in terms of impact and reporting internally, I'm sure the social enterprises also will get an effect of that. So what do you see is the difference coming through?
I would say for social enterprise, this is the wonderful time. Excellent time, I would say. Because 2-3 things that comes into my mind is, so for a social enterprise, they have to be certainly ESG compliant. Okay, and if they are ESG compliant, looking at all the parameters of, and they are the right problem solver, I would say, because small organization, quick, agile, their expertise, they can steer organization and and work on the problems, and they can be an incubator. Okay, for any the problem that they can create a problem, create a problem model and work on that, and solution can be applicable. And if they are ESG compliant, I would say there is so much of funding available. There institutional funding, there ESG funds available where they can approach and get the funding. So funding is that way easy. So and 2-3 things even for a social enterprise are coming together. The first thing that I would say is our COP 2026, the India's commitment. It comes to the fossil fuel, comes to the carbon neutrality. So that India's commitment is one. So we know where India as a country is heading towards. And of course, the G20 presidency is actually reinforcing our commitment. The whole world is looking at India in different angle altogether. And third and important thing is we wanted to be a third largest country in the world, economy in the world. Okay, so when we are approaching towards 2030 or 2047, India is going to look very different. I think these are the opportunities as well for the social enterprises. Right. And for social enterprises, I would say if they look at the trend today, okay, to summarize this, I think if you look at trend, the first I would say that we are becoming hotter. Day by day, we are becoming, IPCC report talks very detailed on how we are becoming hotter. Right. Okay. Even that 1.5 degrees Celsius itself is not, good enough target for that matter. Second, we are increasing in number. Okay, so population growth. Third, we are moving to cities. And fourth, our continuous growth as an economy, and that is going to happen again. And we need energy. And the last thing, we are very well connected. The emergence of technology, emergence of AI, ML, you talk about. So if you look at the whole trend where it is going, that's an opportunity, I feel, for the social enterprises. Absolutely.
Yeah, I feel that in India, we have that edge that we are still connected to our roots in the rural areas. As well as in the urban areas, we are very much ahead on the technology as well. So it's a good merger of both, because if we can come up with good sustainable solutions, which our roots really have. If we go to the rural areas, they are very, very sustainable, and that's what we've been brought up, in this culture. So that if those kind of projects can come in and social enterprises can drive that, I think that will really help the corporates. That will really help the country also drive towards the SDG goals which we want to achieve.
And
so rightly said, yeah.
Yeah, and to add to this, the Silicon Valley has designed some solutions.
Mm-hmm.
We already have many solutions. You could take it sitting there, try and keep, developing some solutions. Now they have a solution, and now they are wandering in different countries to find out the problem where they can put their solution into. But India is such a country that we have problems across. So we can, as a social enterprise, they can pick up any problem that they want to address to, and build a solution, pilot it, and then into the scope of the solution.
Because I feel social enterprises are really the hands for any corporates to drive at the community level. And it is really an opportunity for them right now to support this ESG drive in any organization with the right projects.
Correct. Because in fact, many of the corporates doesn't have a capacity to actually understand ESG, expectations of ESG, and implement those programs.
Right.
So that is also one of the opportunity for social enterprise to pitch in and address that need.
Right. So with this, do you feel there's a change in the nature of projects also, which is coming in the organization because of ESG, the earlier CSR projects versus what you intend to do now? Do you see a shift in the discussions, the conversation of the management as well, and a different drive towards environment, community maybe?
A short answer to this, I would say no. Okay, because CSR, being in the space for a very long time, we have been doing, environment related or social, related projects for a very long time. So there is no change as such. Okay, when it comes to designing a project, thinking about the project, and implementing it, there is no change as such. Certainly, the reporting wise and aligning or sharing the information, sharing the impact with ESG reporting, that is something is happening. I would say just because ESG investments and ESG strategies are very different when it when we make a policy for the CSR.
Right.
The CSR focus areas also can be very different than their ESG strategies. But certainly in some way or the other, it complements each other.
Right. So because even the CSR projects will contribute to the SDG goals of an organization. And gradually we are going to see that every organization will start reporting what are the SDG goals they are contributing towards, because it all rolls up to the country level also. Because in India, we've started already mapping what are the SDG goals, what are the priority areas. And then that will have an effect on the corporates also, because they will also start mapping which CSR projects is contributing to which goal and having some reporting or disclosure around that.
Certainly, because end of the day, all our efforts are going to go into the how we as an organization we are working towards the sustainable development goals.
Right. Which should come out in the form of some deliverable or a disclosure, which is measurable. Do you see a challenge there? Because I feel that measurement is where the challenge is for social enterprises, and it's not been something which we've been doing for many years. We are starting to begin or see the impact. So the impact assessment of projects.
Yeah, completely agree, Punita, on that front. But things are changing now. Even Ministry of Corporate Affairs, CSR guidelines as well. The projects, if we put money into the impact evaluation of the project, right, that also can be budgeted as in the CSR funding. So that's a good part, good move, I would say. And in fact, our discussion itself, we started that, it is always difficult to actually quantify the social benefit. But there has been the effort in that direction, certainly. In fact, Minister of Corporate Affairs in the guidelines clearly mentioned that our project should be rupee measurable. So if you are putting some funds, so we should be able to track what the benefit that community has. Sometimes it will measurable, or meaning when you say tangible, it may not be. It may be intangible as well in some or the other form. But we should be certainly able to report that.
So I think just to summarize till now what we've discussed, you're saying that there's a emerging role of ESG which is much larger than CSR, but you see that these two have to work together, and there are many areas in which CSR will contribute to the ESG strategy or the ESG implementation of an organization. Maybe in a mid-size or a small size, the role might be the similar, or maybe the same person will be doing the role. So it will be more comprehensive and more detailed. More skills will be required there. When it comes to challenges, you are saying in terms of reporting and disclosures, currently there are, but gradually you're seeing that improvement is happening, and social enterprises can really contribute to that space to a great extent. So I think it's been great learning from you, and lots you shared because you were really implementing things on the ground. So I think it will really help others to maybe imbibe these learnings and learn from your experiences today. We would really like to thank you for your time. And any last piece of advice you would like to give for the CSR heads, for the ESG heads, or for in general, what would you say?
Yeah, what I would say or suggest is I'm also a student and learning every day because this is such a vast, huge space, and so much of evolution keeps happening, changes keeps happening here and there. I think we should keep our radar on, try to attend as many workshops possible, webinars. Now after COVID, things has become online now. So try to attend as many such forums possible. Try to become a member of the networks like Indian ESG Network is one, or many others. And try to keep the upgrade of the knowledge. This thing, when we say knowledge is a power, then I would say whatever the knowledge that we have, try to implement that as well. I would say that is super helpful or super powerful if we do that. And whatever you learn, try to share with others the practices that we're following. So that is something which I would like all the fraternity, the professionals and enthusiasts working in the CSR ESG space should do. And secondly, I would also suggest that try to lead the natural, organic, sattvic, or minimalistic lifestyle. When I say minimalistic, probably the economist of the world may not like it, but I would say, but that is, if we look at whole Sustainable Development Goals, and if we try to lead the minimalistic life, it is certainly going to benefit, in all sense. And third and final thing, I would like to say that all the age-old problems that world is facing today, it needs a new age thinking, the rigorous implementation, and the empathy at its core.
So you're saying the right balance has to be brought in. And
absolutely,
while we implement
the right balance of, if it is head, heart, and hand,
right,
I think we can certainly solve all the critical complex problems that we see.
Yeah. Great. I think those are great pieces of advice, and I think that's the real wisdom we all need to carry in our lives. So thanks a lot, Amit, and thank you for your time. We are very grateful from the Indian ESG Network team. We look forward to hearing from you more and having more rounds of discussion. So
Absolutely. Thank you
thanks a
so
lot.
much. And once again, thank you, Indian ESG Network, for inviting me and giving me an opportunity to share whatever the little, experience and knowledge that I have. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thanks a lot.